Hello and welcome to my first edition of Art Success blog related videos. If you have been following me, then you'll be aware that I've been doing these Art Success interviews since last summer really. My first one was with Rebecca Fontaine-Wolf, which is a video here on YouTube, and the only video. All the other ones have been audio interviews which I've then transcribed and published on my blog, and also on the Contemporary Modern Art blog and in Lime magazine. Essentially, I have decided that after I publish each interview now, I'm going to do just a short video relating to the interview, just my thoughts on the interview, and then link to the actual interview below. There will be times going forward when I will be able to do video interviews, but for the most part they will be in this format. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the one that I did with Tim Okamura. Now Tim is a visual artist based in New York. He's 44 years old, and if you don't know about Tim, then you need to get to know, because seriously, the guy is uber talented. I'm so inspired by him, and by the time I finished that interview I was in awe already from just seeing his work, but after that it was just on a completely different level. The kind of work that he does is photorealistic to an extent, but it's slightly towards the more painterly side of things, and I just adore his work. Just to give you a bit about his background, he has got MFA from the School of Visual Arts in New York. He's currently residing in New York. He's 44. He has been 5 times nominated for the BP Portrait Award. If you don't know about the BP Portrait Award, it's a competition sponsored by BP, an arts competition for portrait painting, and those who get through to the final end up being exhibited at the National Portrait Gallery in London. So to be shortlisted 5 times is quite a major achievement. He was also shortlisted to paint the portrait of the Queen of England back in 2006, and he also has had quite a lot of his work featured heavily in movies. One of those movies in particular is one that I've seen, is called Prime. It features Uma Thurman and Meryl Streep, and it was about a painter who essentially had a relationship with an older woman. It was a really good film, and when I watched the film, I didn't know about Tim Okamura at the time, but when I watched the film I was thinking, whose work is that? I would really love to interview them. Little did I know that I would actually end up interviewing him, and that's another story how I ended up interviewing him. But anyway, he is heavily influenced by urban life or urban culture and hip hop, and that is really evident in his work, especially because of the fact that he likes to depict ethnic minorities in urban settings with graffiti and that kind of thing. And what struck me was the sheer number of black people that he depicts in his work, and that to me is interesting, especially from my perspective as a black woman, because of the fact that historically speaking black people haven't necessarily been depicted in such a positive light in fine arts. So to come across an artist who does this so beautifully and so respectfully is actually quite refreshing, and he paints a lot of black women as well. So I got down to the nitty-gritty and asked him the question, and a lot of people ask him this question, he said, but I had to ask, and I wanted to know specifically why he chose this particular subject matter, what was inspirational about this subject matter for him. And the answer that he gave was very interesting, very inspiring, and very real, very honest. That's one thing that I noted about Tim, is that all of his answers came from a very real place. There was no pretense, just very raw, very honest answers, and also very inspiring answers. So I urge you to click the link below and have a read of what he said. 2 of the other questions that I found most interesting also were when I asked him specifically about failure. And failure is something that a lot of people feel uncomfortable talking about, and I found that Tim didn't feel uncomfortable at all. He was, again, very open and very honest, and some of the things that he said resonated with me specifically because he was talking about things that I had experienced from the perspective of organising exhibitions and not selling any work and feeling low after that. He talks about how he dealt with those feelings and how he then took what he had gained from that experience and went forward, and how he the kind of mindset that he had, which enabled him to continue going forward as an artist. And one thing that he said which struck home, because it's a mantra that I've had for a while, and that is, there is no plan B. So he's really inspirational, especially if you're an artist. Also, I asked him how he got into film, and I asked him if he had any advice specifically for people, for fellow artists who were wishing to continue or go down the path that he has taken in the fine arts. And again, the advice that he gave was really useful, very real and very inspiring. So that's it. I urge you to have a look at the interview, and some pictures of his work are going to follow after I've finished talking my head off. And until next time, take care, bye.